Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Imagine with me for a moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. And because He loves you, He wants to express His love for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls Jibreel alayhi salam. He says, "O Jibreel, I love this person, so love that person." Doesn't stop there. Jibreel goes to the inhabitants of the higher heavens and announces to all those inhabitants, Allah loves so-and-so, so love him or her. And so all the inhabitants of the heavens begin to love that individual. And that will keep trickling down until, as the Prophet ﷺ says, تُوضَعْ لَهُ الْقُبُولِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. He will be someone or she will be someone who's accepted by humanity. Conversely, think about the person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despises. And Allah calls Jibreel and says, I despise this person, so despise them. And so Jibreel despises that person. He calls out to the inhabitants of the heavens and says, Allah has despised this person, so despise him or her. And now all of the inhabitants of the higher heavens despise that person, and that continues to trickle down till it reaches the heart of humanity. And as the hadith says, ثُمَّ تُوضَعُ لَهُ الْبَغْضَاءُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. People begin to despise that person. This is serious stuff. I mean, if Allah loves you, that has an effect on the hearts of people. They will love you and they will accept you. But if Allah despises the person, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from ever being despised by Him, then, that has its ramifications in the hearts of people. We will be despised. That's something we would never want for ourselves. And so what I want to entice our minds with in this regard, in light of this hadith, is to what extent is Allah being pleased with us or displeased with us? To what extent does that affect the health and the strength of our families? I understand why people don't like hearing what I'm about to say, but I really challenge us to think about it. Whenever I look into families that there's a lot of conflict in them, I notice and I keep digging until I find out that they are involved in major sins. Interest, the pornography is being observed by someone in the family. Someone in the family is doing something that's very blatantly haram. And that ends up causing those individuals or that person to be disliked by Allah. And so it creates division within the family. And I can't help but observe families that are obedient to Allah, sincerely obedient to Allah, and obedient to Allah in a way that's correct, that's based in knowledge, not based on culture and misunderstanding our religion. You find that there's strength in the family. And no, I'm not saying that's the only cause of strength or that's the only cause of disunity. There are other factors. And no, I'm not saying that automatically if a family is weak, that means everybody is despised by Allah. No, it's not what I'm saying. Nuh alayhi salam was beloved to Allah, but his child was a disbeliever. Same thing with his wife. She was a disbeliever. Ibrahim alayhi salam is Ibrahim. His father was the way he was. Right? There was division in the family. And so I'm not saying this is general in all circumstances, but we have to ask the question, to what extent is it affecting my family? And what does it mean for Allah to love someone? Why does Allah love someone? He loves someone who's obedient to Him, who fulfills His commands, and who fulfills His commands sincerely. And Allah dislikes someone who's disobedient. We know this. This is common knowledge. And so if we want strong families, one of the most important things is to mention Allah. Let Allah be part of our families. Talk about Allah. Centralize Allah in the hearts and minds of our family affairs, in the hearts and minds of our spouses, of our kids. That will help build that love of Allah for us, which will then trickle down in the hearts of our family members to where they accept us and they love us. Mention Allah in your homes and remember the hadith. مثل البيت الذي يذكر الله فيه والبيت الذي لا يذكر الله فيه كمثل الحي والميت. The Prophet ﷺ gives an example, a comparison. The example or the comparison of a home that remembers Allah in salah, mentioning His name, dhikr, doing good deeds, versus a house or a home that doesn't mention the name of Allah. They're not praying, they're not mentioning Allah, it's all distractions, all music, no Quran, is like the example of someone who's alive and someone who's dead. That's a pretty serious comparison. You want your family to be lively, you want the life of your family to be strong and clear, then Allah must be at the forefront of that. Mention Allah, talk about Allah. And we know the basics, teach your kids salah, teach them how to fast. We know these things. So let me go ahead and upgrade your activities just a little bit more. Mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you talk about your personal experiences. When you're at home and you're talking to your family about what happened at work today, what happened at the grocery store today, what happened at school today, mention Allah. Say, man, I was at work today and there was a problem that we're trying to resolve. Allah jahabu, Allah gave us the solution. See, it sounds very simple. It sounds like just something that comes off the tongue unconsciously, but it has an effect. Wallahi, it has an effect on ourselves and our family members. Our family members see that Allah is part of our day-to-day affairs. Mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your experiences. Man, I was studying for this test and I was so concerned, but man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the way for me. He made it easy for me. Allah gave me the tawfiq to succeed in that test. That goes such a long way. Also, mention Allah when you engage the environment. You know, as a student of knowledge, when I was under the mentorship of one of my teachers, he showed me something that my studies wasn't showing me. And that was once we were in a park area, and he liked to gather, instead of bringing charcoal, he liked to gather twigs and sticks from trees. And so he'd go by a tree and he'd bring this whole pack of twigs and tree branches and whatnot. And he would say, Ya Razzaq, Allah Raziq. Allah is the provider, Allah is the provider. And man, it hit me in a way that my books cannot teach me. To tie something as nonchalant as twigs on the floor, as being Allah's rizq to you, that goes a long way. And there's barakah in that. You're not just reinforcing Allah in the hearts and minds of the family members. You are doing something that's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will bring barakah to your lives and the lives of families. You know, we know that the shaitan cannot be in a place where the remembrance of Allah is strong. What happens when you make your home a place where Allah is constantly being mentioned? It becomes a place that shaitan cannot occupy. But a home where Allah is never being mentioned and where the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is frequent, that is a place where the devils like to be. And the devils have a goal. They want to destroy you. Iblis made that public and he made it as clear as day. He wants to destroy you. And one of the ways, the primary ways Iblis and his devils want to destroy us is creating division between us. We all know. We know the hadith of how happy Iblis is when he hears that one of his stooges caused divorce between two Muslims, caused divorce between husband and wife. Well, we can distance the shayateen from our lives by mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, have conversations about Islam. Become comfortable with one another about talking about Islam. It's not so much about coming to the right conclusion, but rather building that comfort where we talk about Islam. We talk about Quran. We talk about Sunnah. That is something that we do, it's standard. And when you're doing that, you're going to be saying, Allah said this in the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ said that in the Quran. The hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, you're constantly mentioning the name of Allah. And this becomes a place where the beauty of Islam not only penetrates, but as the Prophet ﷺ mentions in the hadith, dhikr of Allah, remembrance of Allah is a garden. It is a Jannah. A place where Allah is remembered frequently is a place that is a paradise on earth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our homes a paradises bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and share your experiences with us. And be honest, how often is Allah mentioned in your home? And what are some ways you think you can improve how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned in your home? Share your ideas. Let's learn from one another. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum everybody. Thank you for watching. If you're finding benefit in these videos, remember that every day throughout the month of Ramadan, we'll be releasing a new video. Our goal is to build a stronger family, especially in our times today when the family unit is really dissolving. It's so important for us as Muslims and to serve as a role model for all of humanity. Share these videos, like, drop a comment. We'll see you at the next video. Bi-idhnillah.